In this next tutorial, I'm going to go through and I want to UV unwrap this table. I'm going to go ahead and close my polygon counter here, and I'm just going to float my modify selection up there because I don't really need it. Alright, so I have a table. I'm going to UV unwrap it. If I put an Unwrap UVW on and open up UV editor, this is what I get. The table just kind of shows up with a basic set of UVs. So I'm actually going to start off with that because this isn't a bad place to start. So I'm going to come over here to Arrange Elements and click Pack Custom, and that's going to go ahead and separate out every individual piece. Excuse me. So one thing that I want to do is I'm going to start off by grabbing some of these big flat surfaces. So if I come over to the side here of my table, I'm going to make my UV editor full screen. I'm going to turn off Select by Element and then hold Alt and region select to deselect, and I want to deselect all these side edges from the table. Okay. So now I've selected the top and bottom. I'm just going to hit projection and do best align, and tools, relax, my polygon angles, just start relax. You see how that one flipped inside out? And that's because I just did projection mapping, one of them was projected inside out. I can do Pack Custom. What you need to do when you're UV unwrapping is you got to think about your model, and at some point you're going to have seams in it. And so something like here in the table, I am going to have a spot with a seam. So I'm going to just do it right up here where this edge is. So I'm going to go into Edge Mode, and I'm going to select this edge here, this vertical edge. And I'm going to, here in the UV window, click on Loop to grab that loop selection. And I'm going to come over to Peel then and convert edge selection to seams. So now I should be able to, in Polygon Element, select that, then hit Peel. Alright, so that kind of takes that, kind of lays it out. I got my polygon angle relax. I can just kind of relax my table here. And it's going to go through and sort of relax out those edges. And just hit Pack Custom there. There we go. Alright, now let's go over here to our actual pedestal. And so, because of the way the angle is, I'm going to do a mix of cylindrical mapping as well as just top-down, good old-fashioned projection mapping. And so the areas that get it kind of flat, those are going to be the ones I project. So I'm going to grab sort of the bottom here, right about here. This is a good spot to get it kind of flat. I'm just going to project it and say best align. There we go. Now along with that, I just realized it actually has a bottom. The thing that tipped me off was I saw these edges here, so I'm actually going to undo that. And then here in the front, I'm going to come in, or I should say my UVs, I'm going to come in and select those polys on the bottom, and then just, you could always try and just peel it and see if that works. Sometimes that'll work for objects like this. I'm always going back and using Pack Custom just to kind of rearrange my polys. It's just a way to ease up the workflow. You want to make sure that you're not grabbing extra stuff. If you do, it's not the end of the world. You can always go back and redo those spots. Alright. So let's see. Here we go. Kind of have my base. So I'm just going to project that best align and then relax it. There we go. Relaxing is important because the relaxing is going to help kind of take what you have and sort of simplify it down. I want to get these edges here. So I think I'm going to want to grab the bottom on this again. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to grab just the bottom. And again, I could try using peel. That should work. I'm just going to take that, move it over to the side. And now I should be able to grab, turn on the element, I should be able to grab these polygons here. And I'm just going to actually grow that selection up a little bit. There we go. And let's peel that and relax it. If I move this over, I'm curious because one part of this is like totally flat. If I select that, alright, so it does have some detail in here. So as long as they don't like, oops, turn off select by element. There we go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Everything is getting some amount of poly detail, so I'm going to live with that. There might be some subtle distortion that happens, but I think we'll be all right. The rest of this guy, we could probably get away with just plain old cylindrical mapping. So I'm going to find out where my seam was. All right, it's right about there. And so I'm just going to come in about the same spot. That way I'll know that seam is generally going to always be in the same location. So I can know not to, try and put that spot facing into the corner when I'm looking at my table. All right, come over here. There we go. So that kind of drew up there for us. Could do the same thing down here at the bottom. Grab the edge. Where's this spot? There they are. So now these guys will be even easier because I just hide it behind where one of the feet is. So that's going to work out great. Grab that loop, convert it, and then this one just manually select it and convert it. So now I can take these polygons and hold that off there. Alright, so here on this table leg I've unfolded it, and now I'm just going to relax it. And I'm going to come over here, oops, a little bit of a glitch there in my movement. Select this. One thing that's interesting to note, when you peel anything when you use the peel button, right, anything that had a peel seam, those edges get broken. So even though I didn't actually have this one selected, you'll see that the peel seam was broken on it, although it did not specifically get peeled. All right, there we go, relax that. So one thing you notice here, you see how it's pinching a lot, right? And that's if your geometry, right? If your geometry is really kind of having a hard time, it's really got to taper in and out, you may end up with some interesting distortion like that. So I'm going to actually undo my peel. And here in this area, I'm going to deselect up to where that pinch point is. And I'm just going to peel that and relax it. And I'm going to grab the bottom and peel and relax that. All right, there we go. So again, I'm just going to keep hitting pack custom, kind of pack those together. I just have my feet to go through and do, and so let's take a look at our feet. So again, we got bottom polygons here on these guys, so let's just pick one to do. I'll grab this one and this one. Where are those guys? There they are. Alright, so I'm going to grab these two. I'm just going to hide them over on the side. Okay. Here's the two I want to work with. So let's come in here and we're going to start off on these guys by just selecting those polygons that make the top and bottom. Peel those, relax them, and then around the back side, again, same old thing. We just want to come in, oops, I'm going to turn off select by element. Just want to grab that edge, grab the loop, define that as a seam, and then grab that whole element, peel it, and relax. There we go. Okay. So we could probably do something similar with the foot here. Sometimes what I like to do when I'm dealing with an object like this is actually come in. You don't see much of its detail from the front here, but if I come into planar and do best angle, okay, not the angle I want. This one just switched up to X, let's say. There we go. All right. I want to be able to see it in profile. There we go. And hold control, shrink that down. Okay. Let's go in. I'm going to turn off, select by element. And I'm just going to come in and grab all the polygons that make up the bottom of this. Oops. I have freeform on, so when I go to select, it's grabbing everything, so I'm just going to switch to movement, so it's not in that freeform mode. There we go. So now I got the polys that make up the bottom, and I'm just going to peel that and hit relax. rotate him to kind of make him smaller. Okay, so now I just need to split everything that's left. So I could try and take this and just peel it and relax it. Although, I don't know if that's going to give me the best results, to be honest. I think we're getting a lot of distortion on the sides. It's not necessarily looking accurate. So I think probably what we'll do is, I think we're going to need to come in and probably grab the sides here. There's, to be honest, there's a lot of different ways we could go about unwrapping this. I'm just going to take the quickest and easiest way I can, which is really just coming in here and selecting the two sides. Oops. There we go. Alright, so I got my two sides selected. I think I kind of want to keep the top together. So I'm just going to deselect the top polys here. Grab them there. There we go. Deselect those. So now I just have the sides. And so if I peel those, I can relax them, put them over to the side, and then just grab everything that's left here. And then peel and relax all that's left. Okay. So there we go. We've gone through and we've UV unwrapped our model. If I grab everything and just hit pack custom, that packs them in. This UV layout, though, is not the most optimized, so there's a better way to handle it. Before we do that, though, let's deal with these guys. In the same way that we optimize the mesh, I don't need to go through and UV unwrap these guys. I can just right-click here out in the world and say Convert to Edit Poly. Go to Element. I had selected them, the two non-unwrapped ones, and so I'm just going to detach those to new objects. And then if I take my one good table foot and I'm going to detach that to another object. And let's grab that foot. I'm going to hold shift and just rotate these around into place. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to come in and those old feet, if I put an unwrap on to double check. Alright, no UVs on this one, so I delete it. And then let's check the top one, Unwrap UVW. That one has UVs, we want to keep him. But I think it's the third one there, object 3. Unwrap UVW, open UV editor. Oh, it's got UVs. Alright. Alright, one of these things is not like the other, so I'm going to come in here to Element, or Polygon, I'm going to select the table. I'm just going to attach all these feet to it. Oh, you know what it is? I just realized when I selected the one foot that deleted both of them. So, okay, if I go into Unwrap UVW, open the UV editor. If I go into Polygon, I'm going to turn off my display here. If I click, if I hit pack, now you'll see all the different feet are separated now. So now we just need to pack everything in and make it fit a little bit nicer. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to split up the side of the table so that everything packs in a little tighter. It's not just one giant long strip here. That's one option. That's one way to handle it. If I want to cut it in half is another way to, is basically what I'm talking about. Just reducing the overall. If I do it in 2 chunks, take that, tools, relax, polygon angle, and I think I'm not even going to relax, I'm just going to keep it so it's a little bit more straight, because I really don't want it to have that. If I could avoid having a curve, I would like to do that. A little less curve goes a long way. Okay, and let's repack those, so that's better. I could go through and I could spend more time going through and optimizing this layout and getting these things to pack in tighter. Probably in later versions, you really don't need to do that. In later versions of the software, the UVs, the editor already does an amazing job of packing everything and making it a lot tighter. one thing I will do is I'm going to select the polygons on the bottom of the table, and I'm just going to manually make them a little bit smaller because you're not going to really see them. They don't need as much pixel detail as everything else. Unless, of course, you're thinking your table might be tipped over in a scene, in which case, go ahead and leave it big. But just taking all this detail and kind of trying to rearrange it a little bit smaller. Like I said, in later versions of the software, this is really not as important a thing to do because the software itself is going to do a really good job of auto packing for you. So what I'm doing is just kind of taking my pieces and moving them in. Think of it as an imaginary box. I have an imaginary box here that I'm trying to take all these pieces and fitting them into a somewhat smaller box here, because I'm going to use my freeform to kind of come over and just make them fit into their space a little bit better. Right? So just taking the pieces. I know that there's holes in some of this stuff, so I can go through and fill some of these holes with some of these other objects. I can take these feet, right, kind of bring more of these elements together. When you are arranging UVs, if you're going to manually do it, arranging like elements together is one good way to make your life a little bit better. That way, if you know all the feet for the table, if all those are kind of clustered together, maybe I'll just take those and set all those over there. Take this element and move him over here, and then take these feet and kind of move them over to the side. There we go. And I'll just keep my table elements kind of over here, in this kind of top location. There we go. I think the rest of this is all just feet, right? Yep. So hey, if I know this guy's about that small, I go ahead and I pack them together. I could just take this and I kind of mentally remember about how small that foot was, which is about this big. I can sort of take those pieces. You don't want anything to overlap when you're doing this, so you gotta be careful of that. And I'm just going to come in here and manually just sort of fill in. I'm kind of imagining in my mind's eye a somewhat smaller rectangle here that I'm about to go in and use my freeform deformation to kind of expand it and make it just a little bit bigger. So here we go, just about done. Getting all of our different pieces kind of dropped into place. There we go. Almost there. Alright, so it's kind of like a rough first pass. I can grab all this now and then just use my freeform to make it bigger. And then, yeah, I did intentionally make it bigger than I needed to. So I knew it wasn't totally square. So I could kind of take some of these elements and rotate them around and then bring them in and try and fit them into this space a little bit better. Alright, I could take it further than that for now. This is good. I'm just going to right click on my newly UV Unwrap table. Alright, and I'm going to save that. So now we have an optimized UV Unwrap table.